Hey guys, welcome to Taming the Chaos. I'm Penny Dawn, and I am joined today by my friend Jennifer. And Jennifer lives in Arkansas, the great state of Arkansas. We're jealous of how beautiful it is there. But she also was awake last night with some storms. So we're not feeling so alone over here in Texas. We all got some storms going on. So I'm super excited to have you here, Jennifer. Jen and I met almost a year ago. So I happened into, when I decided to start a business, I heard that there were these things called networking events. And if you don't work for yourself, you don't own a business, you're not an entrepreneur, those networking events mean nothing to you. So those don't happen unless you're in sales. And so I decided I think I have to go to a networking event. So I happened into a women's networking event. I was scared to death. My armpits were sweaty. And I walked in and I found a group of girls just like me that were normal and that are just growing businesses. And it was so refreshing. When I left there, I thought, when I walked in with imposter syndrome. When I left, I walked out thinking I belong. Like I'm totally one of the girls, you know? And so I'm super excited to welcome you here, Jennifer. You want to go ahead and say hi and introduce yourself?
Absolutely, Penny. And it was such a pleasure to get to meet you at that time, too. I think it was just such a pivotal moment in both of our businesses to really introduce ourselves and show up in that way. So, the way we've flourished since meeting has been so cool. And so my move to Arkansas has been interesting, unique. It was nothing really planned. It was very spontaneous. And what's really neat is that I was able to take the company that I was growing when we first met and literally grow it into something so big, bigger than I ever really had set goals for myself. What was neat was I saw the opportunity rather than setting that goal. And when I saw it, I just knew that I was in the right place to take it and run with it. So when we first met, I had a gourmet catering company, and I was really set to grow this past year to something really special. It was taking off, it was gaining recognition. I was garnering magazine covers, local magazine covers. And so I thought, I'm really doing it. That was what I had set forth, and it was happening. And then I just flipped my whole life on its head because why not? I figured, we were at the age we could still do something really special. I have an adult son who didn't really need his mommy, even though that makes me very sad, because I
Right.
still wish I could cuddle him and all that. But he's an independent young man who learned a lot from watching his parents in their entrepreneurial journeys. And so we're really excited that that translated into his life. But with that said, we are brand new here in the Ozarks, not just Arkansas. We're in a really beautiful spot. And we've got this cool restaurant off the beaten path. It's brand new. We have an elevated taste of the Ozarks where I can bring my culinary skills into this gorgeous setting, and this building's stunning. I mean, I'm up in our loft, like storage area, and you
Yeah.
can still see
Yeah.
the craftsmanship of the building itself. And it's been a cool experience. So
That's so
looking forward to
cool.
you
I love
coming to
it,
visit
Jen.
it. Yeah.
You touched on something. You said you saw an opportunity and you knew it was time to jump on it. And I think that there's something really big about that that sets entrepreneurs apart. They're not always just like risky people. They don't just love to sit at a table and gamble. But when they see an opportunity, they're able to make that decision and go ahead and jump on it. Whereas other people might want to think about it for a few years and then miss that opportunity. And I saw something the other day that said, if you feel behind, the average first time business owner is 45 years old. So people starting their own business, the average age is 45, which is great. I just turned 45 this year. So basically I started ahead of the curve, 44 years old. And it was like the millionaire, like the average millionaire is 65. And I'm like, sweet, we're right on, we're right on,
We're on
we're
track.
right on
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
It,
want to talk to you today about like you and your husband like dropped everything in DFW. Let's be real clear. Did you sell the catering business or did you just close it?
So I closed the catering business and it now remains as my blanket company. So actually, Seasoned Gourmet Goods, who was my baby, is now the boss around here. She's the one who owns the DBA, and all of my business transactions run through that company. So I was able to keep it. It was something super special to me, but really grow it up to make it more responsible for our business growth. So it's no longer just a small catering company. She's the boss.
Okay, cool. And
Yeah.
you fell in love with the building. I remember you went on vacation there, fell in love with the building. You were like, "Oh, we're opening a restaurant and we're going to drop everything and move here." Your husband was retirement age, right? And he was able to
Yes.
retire from
So
his,
the cool
yeah.
thing with that is that no matter what we were doing in our lives with, working for others or running our own business, we'd always had a dream to retire him early from corporate career. And he was working for the same company for about 20 years. And we thought to ourselves, we're going to get him retired at 50 years old. And so, with that in mind, he just turned 50 2 weeks ago, and we got him retired August last year. So, we were a little ahead.
Yeah.
Of course, it was scary as can be. I mean, we've always worked really well together as a team, but we never owned and operated a business together. So, it's a new challenge, but welcome because we bring two really amazing skill sets together, and it's been very complimentary so far.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah,
We're the same. We're the same. I think that people that say they don't want to work with their spouses, I'm like, wait a minute, like we're a team. Like we're called to work together. I don't know. I'm
I
not them,
agree,
but we
and
love
it's
working together as a team.
yeah, yeah, we do
We're good
too.
at
It's been
home.
really
We're
neat.
good at work, all the things. Now, do we butt heads? Yeah, sometimes, but it's we're better for it. What's been a surprising lesson that you've learned as a new business as a restaurant owner?
I think honestly, I'm more surprised at myself often, and I'm facing this big situation right now that reminds me that my instinct is so keen, but I often neglect to listen to it because I have this external need that I feel that has to be filled. Therefore, I'm willing to compromise on what I really know is the most important thing to do. I've ignored red flags from time to time. I allow things to happen when all this time I've known better. And so I think what surprises me still is after learning those things time and time again, I continue to make those mistakes. I continue to ignore things when I should have taken action faster. And so it's not that anything about the restaurant industry surprises me because this has been my career for 30 years. I've seen it all. I've seen multiple business owners function in so many different ways that I expect all this stuff to happen. But it's my own faults that I continue to see come up that surprise the crap out. I should know better. I've given myself the lecture. My career coach gives me the lecture, yet I still do it. And so that's what I think surprises me the most is that I haven't fully gained that, what's the word? It's not even confidence, but it's the
Mm.
knowing that I should listen to that instinct right away.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, you talked about a coach. Where did you find your coach? How much of a difference has coaching made for you?
Let me tell you what, and what's so cool is even some of the people I really respect in business who are friends of mine just really cheer me on. Every time they hear that I'm working with a business coach, they're like, these are the investments we have to make in ourselves as
Yes,
people, business
absolutely.
owners.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the cool thing about my business coach, because I've worked with um, different people, but she's specific to the culinary industry. And so she knows this inside and out. Therefore, she's just not working with a business owner. She's working with somebody who she's put decades of her own time and energy into understanding this in depth. So I trust her completely. And she's even had to call me out a few times. She's like, do you trust me? Because I'm saying some nonsense. And I'm like, yes, I do trust you. Dang it. Okay, I'll listen. But the cool thing about her, when I was catering back at home, one of the important things to keep in mind is that you must follow the law. There are people who are not catering out of illegal commercial kitchens, and that's unfortunate. But for me, I actually toured her kitchen. She's got this beautiful space over there in it's like Colleyville, Richland Hills, like precinct line area over kind of in our old stomping grounds. And so just over time, she remembered me and reached out because she does a culinary workshop business owners workshop yearly and invited me to it. It was the perfect time because I was ready to grow my business. I was ready to glean insight from others. And so once we met, it was just game on. She saw something in me, I saw something in her, and so we signed up for coaching. And I've now committed to my second year with her and grown up in all of these amazing ways with her. So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
pretty cool
that's
thing.
good.
Yeah.
It's been instrumental for me.
Yes.
Somebody told me, Penny, if you want to succeed, get a coach. And so I was like, okay. So I started praying about it. I started looking everywhere, and I kept meeting coaches that I didn't like. Honestly, I was like, I would meet one and I would kind of interview them, and I was like, I don't like them.
You're
That's not my
almost a dime
person.
a dozen. People feel like that's an
Yes.
easy career path, but
Yes.
it's not. Just doesn't mean they're for you.
Right. And so, but I found one, I started stalking one on Facebook, in some of my Facebook groups and stuff. I reached out to her, and it has been the most magical relationship and worth every single dime. And so I absolutely agree with you, Jennifer. Like, spend the money, get a business coach, because
Mhm.
you're going to, like, there's been so many times where I've talked with her about something and she's like, that needs to be 3 times that price, Penny. And it's just like having that person behind you, to know your value.
Mhm.
When I don't, and I know those red flags too, Jen, like and then she'll be behind me being like, that's not an ideal client. Like, you need to offboard them, tell them goodbye and we love you and have a great life. And I'm like, yes, I need to do that. But it's just having that person behind you to push them. And here's the magic: do what they tell you to do. Because there's
Mhm.
no reason to pay somebody to tell you what to do and then don't do it. And so she's always telling me, you're an ideal client because you actually do this stuff. And I'm like, I don't understand. Why would I pay you to tell me what to do and then not do it? And Jen, I'm kind of a coach in that respect. I coach my clients through like financial chaos. And
Mhm.
there's times where my clients will have the same kind of rebuttal, sometimes. And a couple of weeks ago, I one of my clients that we've become pretty really good friends, I said, now you pay me to know this and you pay me to manage this, so why are you arguing with me? And I was like, do you think I know what I'm talking about? And she was like, yes. And I
Right.
said, why are we still having this conversation then? Let's
But
move
to
on.
trust
Just let me do it.
yourself to speak to a client in that way. And this all goes back to this. We're going to spend that money anyway by making all the mistakes, by thinking we know better and not allowing someone like that with the expertise. And I'm a firm believer. I even tell my staff this. Why do you want to be the smartest person in the room? Get around people
No,
who have insight and who can support you because nobody knows it all. We all bring nuggets from all these
nobody.
different places in our
Yeah.
experience, right? Mhm.
That's right. That's good. Okay, let's talk about some numbers because I'm a numbers girl and I've worked with restaurants for years, and restaurants are some of my very favorite clients. I love restaurants. But restaurants run tight margins. They're very tight margins. And so I want to talk about some of those numbers that are great. So if somebody's watching this and they own a restaurant, they might not know this. So we might be educating someone, Jen. I hope we're not, because you really should know these if you're getting into the restaurant industry, but some of them they might not know. So let's talk about, can you tell me some of those numbers that you keep a tight look at? I know you said your husband does a lot of the numbers, but I know because you're a
Thank
chef.
goodness. Yeah. And too, when I was running my catering company, I was, the only person who really was abreast of all of that information. And, I think for me, just growing up in this industry, I know that it's much more of a passion project. And unless really have a monopoly of a lot of high-end restaurants, it's generally not a big money maker. And so when you talk about tight margins, I mean, average profit for a restaurant is anywhere between 5 and 10% a year. And so just knowing that in general, why would we do this? It's because we have an ingrained need to give to people. It's our love language, really feeding people and seeing people happy and experiencing, what I'm providing them. It's not just food, it's the whole thing. So really, it's so funny that people would even get into this industry or that customers think we're here just to gouge them and to be greedy. And it's unfortunate
Yes.
that we hear that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
That's good.
Yeah.
So
So
some of
my
those are.
hmm One of the
Go
things
ahead.
that's always top of mind to me, and because I do our weekly food ordering and budgeting, is that we have to maintain a food cost percentage. And the general number for that is around 30%. And so even when people who don't understand how pricing works say, oh, well, you only paid $10 for this product, yet you're charging me $30 for this product. How is that fair? You're gouging the customer. I said, oh gosh, what about the Dawn liquid it takes to wash that plate you just ate on, or the labor that I have to pay someone to come and take your order, or
Yeah.
to roll the
We
beautiful
didn't serve you
silverware.
a raw piece of chicken.
No, we sure did not. So those are the things. What about the salt and pepper? What about the sauce? What about the side? What about the plate? What about the napkin? What about the chair you're sitting in that I carefully chose and paid a certain amount of money for versus a cheaper chair or things like that? So unfortunately, the perception is that, we're overinflating our pricing when we have to build in not just the food cost, but the labor cost, the fixed cost to pay for building expenses for these lights that are on, and so really it's a number, it's a percentage number. So back in the day, and kind of just a standard, is that you're looking at 30% food, 30% labor, 30% fixed cost. And if you're lucky,
Yep.
that 10% might be profit.
Right.
But
Yep.
there's a lot of manipulation that has to go on there. You are going to have your
Yes.
loss leaders on your menu. You're going to have some items that really don't make you any money, but they get ordered a lot and they're enjoyable. And then you have something that costs you hardly anything to make and is super popular. And
Like
that's your
drinks.
loss leader. Exactly. And so you kind of play this balancing game every day, every week, every month. And your reports are so important. What's selling? What's not selling? And there's just always work to do. Yeah.
Yep. What POS system do you use?
So currently we're using Toast. That's very popular nowadays. It's very
I
user
love
friendly.
toast. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've been able
Yeah.
to not only use it just for our point of sale so that our servers can turn in orders to the kitchen and then print a ticket that gets paid by the guest, but we're able to use it for our payroll. We're able to use it for, again, just pulling any report that we need that can be valuable to the front of the house or the back of the house. And I mean, it's got its own like training built into it. And it's one of the better systems that's out there right now to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
And
love toast.
reservations,
Now,
all that, all that. It's so good.
yes. Toast is the whole management system for a restaurant. And if you do it well, you build your recipes into there. You right? And
Yes,
you
it does
and then you
inventory
are
control
able
for
to
you.
I
hmm
was going to say you're really able to control inventory
hmm
and know not just this recipe it takes rice, but this recipe takes a cup of rice and that makes 4 plates, or you know what I'm saying? And so then you're able to
Yes.
really reduce um loss through spoilage. Is that the
You
word you use?
are. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So really any waste needs to be tracked. And so those are also
Yes.
numbers that, are very crucial to us. And especially when
Yes.
our budget is so tight and we are brand new, we are off the beaten path. Those are factors that really need to be considered, not just when you're looking at the basics of what restaurants fundamentally should look
Yeah.
at. We have extra
Okay,
layers.
I'm gonna give an insider tip.
Okay.
Um, so Toast does not directly integrate with QuickBooks.
No.
So a lot of business owners do their own bookkeeping when they first start out, and they're not capturing all of the information from Toast. But there is other softwares that will integrate, and kind of what we do is connect the two. So connect Toast and connect QBO so that you're not manually entering those numbers. We don't want to manually do anything that software will do. So one of our favorites is I think it's A2X. A2X. Oh no, this is Shogo. SHOGO. A2X is a different one. Shogo, SHOGO, integrates QuickBooks and Toast and will automatically push over those journal entries every day. So those sales numbers are being captured on a daily basis. And so that's one of the reasons we love Toast, because we can create that integration and get real-time numbers for our clients at our restaurant. You talked about staffing. Let's talk about like how has staffing been? I'm gonna guess that that was one of the red flags that you said you ignored. And staffing is really difficult in a restaurant
It
because
is. Yeah.
you love people. You do this because you, and I see restaurant owners float around from table to table loving people, generally they have
You know,
that
that's
gift of
me. I do that
hospitality.
too. I pop out with my chef coat and I check on my guests. And, it's really just so important to me to see the
Yeah.
reaction, see if there's anything that we could have do different to meet the expectation. And so, yeah, I've
Yeah.
put myself in this position, and many, many people who've worked in restaurants over the span of time I have quit. They have said, I'm never working in a restaurant again. I'm done with this. But guess what? We always end up right back here because there's something special about this environment, and there's something special about people who do this well. Not everybody does it well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. How do you take those numbers and then translate that into menu pricing?
Right. And so this has been a little bit of a catch-22 for us simply because we are trying to fit this perfect mold of our location. And so, being that I'm from a big city like the Dallas Fort Worth area, now it's all just Dallas Fort Worth, right? Um, there are things there that you can do much more just based on the spreadsheet, just based on the numbers. Here, I feel that we're playing a little bit of a game where we are trying to be as elevated as possible, but we still have to match the needs and the acceptance level of the guests that live around us. One of the very unique things about our building is that we're actually in the lowest income county of the state. So we
Okay.
do have a lot of naysayers who say we don't belong here, that we're trying to bring something too fancy, even though I've taken a lot of
Yeah.
time within our branding to make sure that it speaks to this client group and that we are very welcoming and it's very warm. So I've had to manipulate my menu costs just a little bit to stay within an acceptable line. So with that, labor cost is very important. Right now, our staff
Yeah.
is very small because we've been in the down season. However, we are budgeting and looking at what can we afford based on perceived revenue for each staff member. How many hours does the staff member allot? We can afford one person at this hourly rate. We can afford one person at this, two people at that, whatever. So we've really been able to break it down kind of a backwards sequence of, well, in this month, we anticipate this much revenue. How much can we afford in labor? So it's kind of a backwards way of looking at it, but it
Yes.
seems to be
Yeah.
giving us some insight instead of over hiring, which we did at first, really to just meet the need of the restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of restaurant owners make that mistake at the first is over hiring and then
Hmm.
especially when you and your pricing structure, would you call it fine dining? Is
I
it
would.
it's not
I would. We don't
okay.
offer five-star service simply because we don't believe that this place warrants, the tablecloths and
Yeah.
all of the extra staff,
Okay.
someone just to bring a fork
Yeah.
over. So what we have coined our restaurant is an elevated taste of the Ozark in a welcoming garden chic setting.
Good.
So we're really bringing the
Yes.
beauty of the outdoors in, the bounty of the food available around us, but really just how fancy can we get before it's too much?
Before
So
it's too
it's
much.
been a
Yeah. And
challenge, but
you
also
really
fun.
you really want to market to that because you have tourists. I mean, it's about to be tourist season and
It
that's a
is.
tourism place. And so that price point is different than what the locals might. But you still want the locals to love you
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
when the tourists ask them, where do we go to eat? Because they're asking the locals where to go to eat. And so
Yeah.
it is. And I know that one of the things that you've done is try to source local produce and things like that, right?
Yes, as much as we
As
possibly
much as
can. Of
possible.
course,
Yeah.
yeah, as much as possible. And in fact, part of that is even growing our own. We've started a hydro garden where we've been able to bring our own lettuce and spinach in just this week. So we're in winter, but still providing fresh produce on our plates.
That's so cool. I love it. That is
Yeah, and
so
it also
cool.
helps to just encourage growth in the area and really to support those local farmers and those local gardeners. So it's a double whammy. We get to forge these really great relationships. We also get to build their businesses on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. How long does it take a general restaurant when they first open to operate in the black or with a profit?
Well, I know that unfortunately it does take up to 3 years for many businesses. If you make it into your first year, past your first year, profitable, that is kind of the goal. So anywhere from 1 to 3 years. And unfortunately, so many people never make it there. And that's when they end up calling, Gordon Ramsay, and they're on TV for a restaurant rescue.
Those restaurant rescues are terrible. I'm like, you couldn't see your bathroom was disgusting? Like, how can
But
you not
it's
see
but it's
that? Or,
unfortunate because we go into places often and we're like, wow, this is what they're representing their brand as. It's pretty.
yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so it's important just to have a different set of eyes. And, I value this business so much more than just it being an eatery or a place for people to come and just fill their tummies. Like all of those details matter so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I love it. What does success look like to you in the next 5 years?
Success for me in the next 5 years. One of the things that I have understood about this business from day one is that it's always for sale. I, at this point, don't feel like anybody could offer me anything that makes sense because this brand means so much to me. But I think in the next 5 years, if I could successfully, earn a $10 million sale on it, that would be amazing. So not that I'm
Hmm.
intending to sell it, but for me to feel that I'm a position within that time frame to bust it all open and to be a desirable business that someone would actually buy with clean books, beautiful reviews. I mean, a great
With clean
clean book.
books.
Absolutely, because nobody wants to look at a mess. Nobody wants to buy a mess. And so what we've understood is from day one, we have to have
Hmm.
everything just laid out properly. And that was one of the biggest pieces for me moving here. And one of the biggest challenges I faced too is coming to a town where things might be a couple decades behind and finding they don't do business the same way I do. We had to cancel or fire a few people already because they just weren't seeing business the way we were. And to be successful, you have to have those things in place. And so it's surprising to me that no one was taking that seriously here, but we are.
Yeah.
And so again, if I have a beautiful business that I feel confident in showing a
Hmm.
buyer in
Yeah.
5 years, I'd be
Yeah.
very proud of that. But of
Yeah.
course, if I'm
And I
here
think I
enjoying
think
it,
that's
I'm gonna stay
important.
too.
Yeah, every business owner has to ask themselves that question, what's the end game?
Hmm.
So, I mean, because I don't want to do this till I die, or I don't want to do this at this capacity till I die. And so at some point, I want options. And a lot of times that option is close your business or sell it.
Hmm.
Basically, it, or, and when you sell it, sometimes you can remain on as a consultant, or, you can remain with licensing. Like if you're a plumber, or electrician, you can, remain as a licensor. But it's very important to know that those financials are kept up. Usually, when you go to sell a business, there at least has to be 2, sometimes 3 years of absolutely spotless financials. If they're not, and I've had tons of calls where people come to us and like, I have a buyer, but they can't, like, we have to have the financials done, and they want it done like yesterday. Well, we can't pull a miracle out and get you audited financials tomorrow
Yeah.
for the last 3 years. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, by the time we're there, it's too late to clean it up because we've already done tax returns based on that. And so
Sure.
we can't actually even go back and change previous years because tax returns have already been filed. And so that's what
Right.
a lot of people don't understand. And so you need to be filing tax returns based on the idea that I'm going to sell this one day, and I can't sell this being a solo thing. We can't do everything. So with that in mind, Jen, tell me, what's the next thing that you want to delegate or get off of yourself?
Yeah, I love that. And so right now we're in just a hugely pivotal moment because I did have a front of house manager leave on Saturday. Good terms and all that, but at the same time,
Yeah,
it leaves us in a position of, um, actually, let me just say it this way. We have a huge opportunity to
right.
regain vision and to
Yeah,
start driving it from a place of where we came from instead of a place of
yeah,
panic. And I think that, just
yes,
like you said, somebody comes to you and they want a miracle. A lot of people operate from panic. And
yes,
I just don't want to lose sight of all of the things that I built to get here. So it's almost like I have this perfect opportunity as we go into tourist season and bring in new management to take it all the way back to that original vision and start to redrive it and refocus it. Because, of course, in 5 months, being busy, just working on getting happy customers out the door, you lose that vision a
yeah.
bit and you're just in the trenches. I mean, I'm back here washing
Yeah.
dishes and stuff. I should have an elevated
Yeah.
view of my business. So that's my next goal is to get the proper management in place to be able to get them
Yeah.
to see the vision and to drive it there for me so that I can get way
Yeah.
back up here instead of all
Yeah. That's
in
good.
the mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't fall for the panic. Hire the right person, even if it takes a little bit longer
Yes, and
to
that's
get that right
something
person in that seat.
I've heard it strictly over and over, and I have to take this to heart. Hire slow, fire fast. And
Yeah.
I have been in the habit of hiring really fast out of panic and out of need and
Yeah.
allowing
And then
things to
firing slow.
continue. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that person you should have fired, they dragged the whole team down. It
I
just, and then you
know,
realize what, and then you're like, why didn't I do this
but
sooner?
it's my
Why
fault.
didn't?
Because
Yeah.
ultimately, we're at we're at the helm and we can't allow it to drive us. We have to be in the
Yeah.
driver's seat. Mhm.
No. Yes. I love it. Love it. Jen, I could talk with you all day about this. We could talk forever. I need to come on vacation to Arkansas soon.
You do.
I've
You would be
never
blown
been there,
away.
so I need to
Yeah.
come. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see your pictures and I'm super jelly. So,
Well, you'll make
I
it
think
sometime.
success looks like spending more time by the river for you.
I
Just
think
spending more time on
so.
the river.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know, especially in that first year, I mean, it's all hands on
Yeah,
deck. We're going to do what we
it's all
have to do.
hands. Yeah.
But my dream really is to
Yeah.
be able to step away one afternoon. Everybody's got it under control, and my husband and I can just go fishing, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is time free.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Our goal this year is to take a 3-week vacation in the fall.
Do
We'll
it.
see. But that's
Yes.
my goal. I'm just saying it so everybody can hear it. All right.
Heard
Well,
it. I heard it.
our time is coming to an end, so we will wrap up. I thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Jen, for offering. I hope that there are some restaurant owners that hear this, and you guys can connect with Jen on on social media for sure. She's amazing.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure
And
that she
please
would be
do.
willing to.
I would
She
love
would
the
love to
opportunity.
connect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a support group for restaurant owners?
There needs to be. I mean, there's every
There needs
Facebook
to
page
be.
in the world where you can go
Yeah.
and grieve out
Yeah.
how your night went, but there
Yeah.
needs to
You
be.
guys,
We need to make time to find some more of those types of networks.
yeah, you need to.
Yeah.
It's so good to have you. If you are listening and you have not yet subscribed to our newsletter, I'd like to invite you to go to 1610consulting.com and subscribe to our newsletter. I send out tips for business owners all the time. 2 or 3 times a month, I send out a newsletter. I include things from these interviews. I include just things like last month, I wrote an article about how to pay yourself because a lot of business owners don't pay themselves. They use money, but they don't pay themselves. And so I wrote an article about how to pay yourself. So things like that that are specific for business owners. If you're listening and you haven't done that, please go there. And then we are doing these interviews every Tuesday at noon with different business owners. So join us every Tuesday and come back. And if you are out there, you're running a restaurant and you feel like you heard this and you thought, I don't know what my costs of goods sold are, and I don't know what my labor costs are, then you need to reach out and get on our calendar for a free financial check-in so that we can help you get some of those processes and systems into place so that you know those numbers and you can grow. Jen, if you'll hold on just a minute after I hit the go button, we'll see our viewers later. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.